Welcome to the Point After Show, Week 3. Abramson versus Grace King. My guest today, the head football coach from Grace King, Bob Hitchens, and the offensive coordinator, Bobby Ledoux. Gentlemen, welcome to the Point After Show.
Thanks for having me.
An exciting football game last week. I know that it was a game that had some big defensive plays, a lot of big offensive plays on both sides of the football. Certainly a game that wasn't decided until the very end.
It was very exciting. We started out, put ourselves in a hole deep by halftime, and kids hung in there pretty good. We had a real good start at the beginning, took the opening drive and scored, 11-play drive, and unfortunately we had trouble containing their running back, Snowden, and he broke a long run and made it 7-6, and then he happened to do it like 3 times in a row, but then we were able to make some adjustments and able to shut him down the second half and allow our offense to let us get back in the game, and we made it pretty exciting.
Coach, offensively, you had a real good game plan against Abramson. Things were really clicking for you the other night.
Yeah, we have not been playing bad offensively overall. We've been hurting ourselves with turnovers and penalties and things. We've been driving the football in every game we've played. And just they grew up a little bit. We have some young kids on the offensive line. They grew up a little bit, and we were not able to hurt ourselves. And they executed the game plan well.
Let's take a look at the first half highlights of Abramson, Grace King.
Fortunately, we won the toss. We were able to receive the ball, which we wanted. We want the ball every time. And we took real good advantage of it, having a nice drive to put us ahead 7-0. Wanted to get something started positive. We hadn't scored a touchdown up before this game, and that was a big plus to get that first one in there.
Well, I think, too, in looking at your first game, y'all have been knocking on the door. You've had a lot of opportunities, like you mentioned, where a penalty or a fumble, a breakdown has cost you a score. Here's the opening kickoff.
Josh Henderson on the return, number 30.
Grace King starting at their own 30-yard line, 1st and 10.
We run the belly here. We run the wing T, and we're going to try to establish the running game real fast. And we missed the block there, and the guy made a tackle. Come back with the sweep, and then Zamora cuts inside the kick-out block, and he picks up 5 yards here.
Grace King with a 3rd and 5 at the 35.
We're going to run our waggle. Quarterback comes out, he hits tight end Ray Simmons wide open across the middle, pick up the first down.
Big play moving to the Grace King 48-yard line. 1st and 10.
This play's been one of our best productive plays in the season. A fullback up the middle, we call it 24 gut. We're getting a lot of use out of that play.
2nd and 8 at the 50.
That's a little bit something different. I mean, we wing T, been wing T for a long time now. We lined up in the eye to try to get the ball into the hole a little bit quicker. That's going to surprise a few people.
Well, certainly a change of formation, where they're looking for one thing, puts a lot of a different look on the defense.
We're into a lot of different formations now. We are about 65-70% unbalanced line. With the wing T is formation, a lot of formations. We have a few plays we like to run well.
Grace King now with a 2nd and 6 at the 35.
Up front, we get some good blocking from Jeff Lopez and Kevin Florek. Aaron Rader's doing a good job, and we're able to run. We're getting the belly game going to both sides here.
1st and 10 at the Abramson 26-yard line.
And
hard running there.
Right, another I-32 lead.
That's Benji Zamora, 22. He's a good little eye back and runs hard, gets to the hole quick, gives you everything he's got.
That's just the same play from a different set. We're going to pick up the first down.
We got some inexperience in the line. We're trying to get our guards to turn and watch that linebacker, inside linebacker stepping up. We're getting the guards to the hole, but we need them to turn and kind of watch that inside pursuit.
Grace King with a 1st and 10 at the 16.
That's good running. Good running on Russell Thompson's part. He's running hard. That was a big relief to get that first score.
Grace King on the board, 6-0 to try for extra point to come.
Derek Hackler on the kick. We got Ryan Nusley, Ronnie Tunnefeld, on the snap. Corey Cookman on the hold, and Eric Hackler on the kick.
Here's a replay of that touchdown run.
Just ran cross block, and the pulling guard made a good block, and Russell reads it real well. He's a 3-year starter for us. He cut back against the grain, got in. You can see him right there. That's the frustration not getting in the end zone for 3 weeks.
Well, this offensive line you mentioned is young, but they've shown a lot of improvement over the first 3 weeks of this pre-district schedule.
They really are.
We have 6:03 left in the first quarter. King on top, 7-0. Good coverage on the kickoff. Abramson starting at their own 30-yard line.
Josh Henderson on the tackle. There they come. We got a strong safety stepping inside, with a corner stepping inside. Both of them, strong safety free safety trying to come up and make the play, and he's trying to come from the inside. Linebackers are trying to come. 2 outside people didn't do the job. They have outside containment. They were being told about that and warned about it, and we were adjusting them and trying to. One of the problems is 2 of the people we're talking to play both ways, and we couldn't get them off the field to kind of straighten them out. And I do think sometimes I talk to other coaches, and they said Abramson's pretty deceiving their speed. And we know they have speed, but they always look a little bit faster than game time, and it takes some adjustment to get to it.
The point after was not successful, so Grace King on top 7-6 with about 5 minutes left in the first quarter.
I mean, as successful as our first drive was, it was disheartening to give up the touchdown on the first play like that. It really takes a lot out of your momentum. We're still up 7-6 here, though.
Grace King with a 1st and 10 at the 30-yard line.
We run bootleg. We tell the quarterback if the end cut down, it's a run.
Right.
You know, he's got an option on the play. We picked up 9 yards.
Excellent read there by the quarterback. 2nd and 1 for Grace King.
We run the gut play, and on the gut play, you don't block one of the defensive linemen. And the defensive lineman stepped in and made a tackle. He stepped up again there. The wing T, you have to do a few things early in the game to see what the defense is going to do, because if they stop one play, they set themselves up for another play.
Grace King with a 2nd and long, and of course the interception there on the 2nd down.
You know, I think Corey saw the free safety was just behind him a little bit, and he stepped up and made the interception. Abramson
with a 1st and 10 at the 42-yard line of Grace King. Good defensive play there for negative yards.
Darren Bouchon, senior defensive end. Steady player, good return player from last year, and he used his quickness to contain the quarterback on the bootleg.
Abramson 2nd and 17 at the 49.
Same mistake as was made on the first 2. The cornerback comes in, takes a bad angle. You know, they got speed, and it's... I had some people ask me if we looked at the film before the game, and we look at the films, and also we show them to the players, and they know their responsibilities, and it's a combination of trying to correct the adjustment, and here they come. When they get frustrated, it's a lot of times they just keep coming harder instead of going back to their keys, and it takes them a little while, and you can't teams like that with speed, you can't afford to keep making the same mistake.
The 2-point conversion was good. Abramson now on top 14-7 late in the first quarter.
Short kickoff is Russell Thompson on the return.
Grace King on the 29-yard line, 1st and 10. Of course, here I know you're trying just to get some offensive momentum back into the game.
Right, I'm still reading. We're trying to figure out what they're going to do in all the different situations so we can come in. The first couple of drives, we're reading and trying to figure out what their defensive responsibilities are.
Okay, the guards are out in good shape there. That's the thing talking about. Maybe we want to get the guards to kind of look inside a little bit more. He's in good position to make the block, but he's looking straight ahead, and he's a sophomore. Michael Klein, he's doing a real good job. But we want to just kind of look inside for that inside linebacker.
Grace King punting on 4th and 3.
And this has been consistent with our games here. We're trying to we go 1, 2, 3 and out, and then we don't get the good punt when we need it, and then we're back in bad field position again. Defense back on the field quick, and they hadn't hurt us in the beginning of the game. In the first couple of games, the defense has played pretty well, and then
Abramson starting at their own 45-yard line.
I just have to say ditto to the first two things. They ran it to the other side, and the other that's where one of our injuries are and we had to bring a cornerback up to play drop in or outside linebacker, and he got caught up in the middle too. And basically, in that case, it was inexperience hurting us there, and then the corner too not helping out.
We have 11:48 left in the first half. Abramson now on top, 21-7.
Still have good field position here. We're back at the 38. We need, if we could get a good drive here, that would help, which we ended up doing in the second half, which kept the defense off the field. In that case, we didn't get the halfback following the two guards up there. He decided to step it out, try to go outside, and if he'd followed the two guards, he'd had more yards.
Penalty on the play, illegal motion. Repeat the down. 2nd and 13 at the 35-yard line.
That's Bradford Paul on the run. We found a sophomore runner. He's going to be a good one. He didn't get the blocking on that. This was not good execution on the tight end screen. We didn't even make it look like a pass. He didn't look at all.
Grace King facing 4th down now at their own 33-yard line.
A little bit better punt here. Good coverage. They just has a little Nat Bazile.
Excellent coverage there.
Darren Bouchon now to help.
Also, we had a penalty on Abramson for clipping. They're starting back at their own 15-yard line.
I think now they must have got tired of running outside because they decided to test our middle. Got some Ryan Delpino on the play. Ryan Nussler, who was a freshman starting at linebacker. Tim Milam, number 66, a sophomore linebacker, doing a good job. And in the same boat there, the drop in gets blocked inside, and you have no help from the corner. And after a while, we started making some substitutions and also make a few adjustments starting at this point. And as you see, after we substituted a few offensive players in, and also just played to put some younger kids at the corner. And as the game goes on, we start to stop this week.
Abramson 28, Grace King 7. We have 7:43 left in the second quarter. And Coach, as you talked about just a few minutes ago, in many people's eyes at this point with this game 28-7, they think, well, this game's completely gone and it's going to be a completely lopsided score, but that wasn't the case.
That thought was creeping up in my mind.
Well, I mean, it has to, but y'all completely turned the game around from this point on.
Well,
and made this a game that anybody could have won going into the fourth quarter.
What happens here, we do start a little offensive surge here. We do, although we end up with a fumble at the end of the drive, we start to get some positive things, and we just created, like, we had a whole bunch of negative things go through there, and then we start coming back now and get some offensive flow.
And, of course, this is the thing that you've needed, is get the offense, moving back with the football.
And plus, defensively, after this drive, we come up and play fairly, make some start well, and actually stop the sweep. And that's, when then we take that away, they're not that effective because they're not a good passing team. And they were just hurting us with basically one play.
Grace King with the 1st and 10 at the Abramson 39-yard line. And, Coach, here you're getting big positive yards on every play. Here's the fumble.
He was stripped with the ball from the ball pit. And thought it might have been a late whistle, but I mean, I think the ball was stripped before the whistle was called in, so it was a good call.
He's such a tough runner. He's always going to suck it out there and let him spin a lot of times.
Well, then we get Darren Bouchon helping out on the sweep there, and plus we have to put Russell Thompson in at the drop in, and he makes a good play there and strings the play out, whereas he has nowhere to go where inside people can help him.
Abramson now with a 1st and 10 at the 50-yard line late in the 2nd quarter. Big defensive play there.
It's a belly play, and we get a good surge from Darren Bouchon, Ryan Nussler, Ryan Delpino on that side. Did a good job stopping the belly.
2nd and 8.
Yeah, they get a fumble, and we just missed it. It's been kind of a, we end up getting a fumble later, but we get that fumble there, I think that would have helped.
3rd and 8 for Abramson. The reverse. Everybody stayed at home. Good defensive play.
That was Thompson again on the backside. Ronnie Tunnefeld making a good surge down the line there. Pursuit on that helped us on the reverse. Here they were trying to draw us offside. They did a lot of late snaps and long count, and then also did some shifting, and they were able to hold on.
Grace King taking over with 2:41 left in the 1st half on the 25-yard line.
That's that one inside linebacker making a play on that, on the sweep there. 44 did a good job on it. We really needed a 1st down here, and we'll find out later.
A little disappointed there. It was the first time we had stopped him defensively.
Yeah.
And I think we could, get a little drive together, and it didn't happen.
Grace King punting from their own 30-yard line, 4th and 5.
Here we're going to get the bad snap. The ball back.
He was trying to make something happen with the pass there. And he balls bounced a couple times. He's done a good job the last few games of scooping those balls like that.
Abramson taking over late in the 2nd quarter at the Grace King 30-yard line.
Good coverage on the drag by Ryan Nussler, the freshman. And they run the sweep. Just a big difference when you get the man
right, when you force him inside.
Force him inside. Corner's there, number 10, Sal Talamo. Here's one of the substitutions we made. He steps up and turns it in, and the gain is 3 yards, but it's a lot better than 60.
Well, you have help coming from the inside. If you turn it in, you've got help coming, and you don't have that on the outside. Big defensive play there.
Russell Thompson, good coach. Got good pressure from Romy Williams on defensive end on the left side. He's got to work on the angle a little bit better. We worked on that in practice yesterday, but he's a sophomore himself.
With that play, it brings the 1st half to an end with Abramson on top, 28-7. Coach, like we had talked about, just a few plays ago, with the score 28-7, I'm sure that a lot of people, thought, well, this game is going to get out of hand. But Grace King players and coaches didn't let that happen. I know that we talked earlier. I know you made some adjustments at halftime. You had made some adjustments late in the 2nd quarter. And Grace King, as we'll see later on film, came back and had a chance to win this ball game in the fourth quarter. Coach, you know, offensively, for the most part, you had some things going. You had a fumble late in the second half. What adjustments were you looking at offensively?
Well, the first thing that I saw was that the defense had stopped in the last 2 times they had the ball. So I knew we were going to get the ball, and the defense was going to play better. And I realized that when we went to our 2 tight end offense, that our offensive linemen were dominating their defensive linemen. So I knew we were going to move the ball. I knew we had a lot of time left. Our defense was starting to hold them. Our offensive line was firing off, that we had time, that we were going to be able to put something together and get the ball in. Right. So
well, and
I was optimistic, and the kids, you know, we talked optimistically to the kids, and they came back and they told me, Coach, we can block this, we can do it. They did a real good job of letting me know what they can do and what the other
So basically, you were staying with the things that were good to you in the first half and just going to improve on those.
Well, I knew we were going to be able to run inside.
Right.
Now, I didn't know we would be able to do it the whole time.
Yes.
But we were. You know, we wasn't getting outside, but we were dominating them from tackle to tackle, and we were going to start like that, and hopefully the defense was going to stop them, which they did. Sure. And it put us in a situation we were in.
And, Coach, defensively, you know, there late in the second quarter, you had made some personnel changes. You'd made some defensive adjustments. The things that had been hurting you earlier, they were able to put a stop to, and as it turns out, this is going to put you right back in the football game.
Well, the main thing that I stressed to the whole team was that if I didn't think they could do it, if I didn't think they were capable of making the plays, then I wouldn't be disappointed. Right. I mean, if we were supposed to be getting beat 28-7, I could understand that. But the thing that made me angry, especially toward the second quarter, when we started stepping up and making the plays and turning the play in, we should have been doing that the whole time. Yes. And we made a couple personnel changes, but still the ones that we had in the game were capable of making the play, and that was my major disappointment. I said, you can make that, and if we continue the second half, you know, we're going to move the ball offensively, but if you play like you're capable of playing, we'll be okay. And that was my biggest disappointment. It shouldn't have been 28-7, and it was like a nightmare to give the ball to the guy 3 times in a row and he scores. Certainly. And it's not, you know, if you can just push a button and make him stop, that's fine. But once we did make a few adjustments, we changed the linebacker inside, it would help, and changed the cornerback, and maybe in a couple of them, we just instructed them better and made them realize to step up, and you know that you don't have to just, you know, you're not, you know, some are trying to do too much. Right. And if they just do their simple job of turning them in to the inside, which we've been playing good inside in the first 3 games, that helped. And you know, like we're talking, you know, that's what coaching is all about, and that's why we're in this profession, and we're dealing with 15, 16, 17-year-old kids that want to perform and want to do the job, and you know, you direct them, and they're going to make mistakes, but then they come back and show improvement, and that's what you've seen here, you know, in the second quarter with your defense. Right. Let's take a look at the second half highlights. Abramson, Grace King. Here we have to kick off, and you know, jury's still out. You know, we stopped it a couple times. We wanted to see how. So we wanted to show the kids we weren't giving up. So we tried a onside kick there to start, and got a good bounce. We got a little bit better angle, but we were just showing them that we weren't giving up, and that we were going to, you know, try some things different. Abramson with a 1st and 10 at their own 41-yard line and a big defensive play here. That's the same play they ran the first play. They scored a touchdown on, and we have 4 people sitting there to make the play. Just like I said, if I didn't think we were capable of making the play, you know, I could accept that. But we're a lot better than we think we are, and you just got to instill that in the kids. They can be capable of making the play. Certainly. Abramson with a 3rd and 8 at the 43-yard line. Here comes the sweep again. He's on the inside. Benji turns it in. Zamora causes a fumble. We just missed the fumble, but he turned it into the inside people. He not only turned it in that time, he slapped the ball in. Here they try to draw us off sides. They tried to shift, and then they hold the count on us a long time, and then good discipline on the part of your linemen to stay in there. And then they get to delay a game. And we knew they do a lot of tricks with their punting team, and one of them ends up hurting us later. But the whole time we were expecting fakes and all that. Even though they completed the one pass later, kids were aware of the play. Right. Thaddeus Carter gets another positive play, 14-yard return there.
Grace King with a 1st and 10 at their 33-yard line.
We're going to go too tight, T formation, and just control the line of scrimmage. Basically, you keep the ball out of their hands.
Yes.
Because they scoring at will. We're going to put the ball in Russell Thompson's hand. He's a 3-year starter, senior captain. Offensive line's firing out.
You can see us coming off the ball real good, and we're getting, there's positive plays each time. There's not any penetration right now, and a lot of that we're coming off as a unit. I mean, they could have been down and not come back, and they're just full of attempts, but they really tell they came off the ball good.
Grace King with a 3rd down at the 47-yard line, 2 yards to go. Coach, that play has worked every time you've run it.
Every time. It's 87 and 83. It's just a belly play. It's a power play. I mean, we have a few different variations of it.
Because the fullback can use you the whole.
It's a lot like the option team.
Yeah.
The defense is going to tell us what we're going to do.
Certainly. Grace King with a 2nd and 7 at the 37-yard line.
Quarterback turned the wrong way on that play.
Yeah, we tried to draw them off sides with the third.
We're real proud of it. Yeah, it's 3rd and 9, and we're going to go ahead and pick up the 1st down. 2 plays. Well, we hadn't been getting that in the games prior.
Right.
Something happened. The wing tees are ground control offense, but if you get penalties and you hurt yourself, you get negative plays, it's real hard to pick
We're
up.
at the point now we were going for it. We weren't, a field goal wouldn't have done us any good, and we weren't punting.
4th and 3 and a big play there, giving Grace King a 1st down on the 27-yard line. You can see now that like you said, you're getting good movement on the offensive line.
Well, that's what it's all about. When the defense is having trouble and the offense, other parts of the game have to step up, and the offense stepped up in the 2nd half.
That's
Grace King with a 1st and 10 at the 18-yard line.
A good surge after Dennis Guerrero at right tackle, Michael Klein, Aaron Rader at center.
We got Nick Makowitz in at tight end. That was Ray Simmons at tight end hurt his knee at halftime, so we got Nick.
He had a recurring knee injury, and so Nick played the whole 2nd half tight end.
Blocking well.
Grace King now inside the 10-yard line, 3rd and 1.
This time it's no mystery what we're going to do, and our offensive line is still firing out and dominating.
Two tight ends kind of evens out the defense, and they can't really load up on one side, and they can't really tell which side we're going to. So that was just back to the basics, and real good drive.
Grace King into the end zone, and a great drive.
Taking time off the clock, keeping the ball out of their hands, and hey, we just 2 scores away right here.
Good hard running by Russell down the field. Russell Thompson, Benji Zamora, good lead blocks. Joshua Henderson was a split end. We moved him to tight end and the 2 tight end offense, and he's doing a good job blocking on the left side. Jeff Lopez is doing a good job too.
Try for the extra point is good. Here's a replay of the touchdown.
Kevin Floyd, the left guard, really removed his man from the hole and let the lead blocker through.
Coach, who is that extra point kick? You have an excellent field goal kicker.
Oh, that's Eric Hackler. He was all district from last year, and he's 3 for 3 on extra points this year, and he's 1 for 2 on field goals. He kicked a 44-yarder the last week, and his kickoffs generally fell fairly deep, and he had a little trouble in this one. I think the ball kept falling off the tee, and I think he kicked this one out of bounds, but. Generally in all, he's all-around good kicker, and also find out later on a kickoff, he's a pretty good little athlete. He's a soccer player, and he made a tackle on the kickoff, chased the guy down, and in fact, they talked about playing in other positions, but he's a valuable performer. I hate to put him anywhere else. And he helps us out a lot with his kickoffs and also field goal kicks.
We have 1:48 left in the third quarter. Grace King kicking off after the touchdown.
Like I said, this one sailed out of bounds on him.
Took that one a little left.
Last week against McDonald 35, he kicked three of them in the end zone.
I was going to say, I was watching the game. It seemed like every kick that he made was in the end zone.
Yeah, he'd been, honestly, during the summer, he spends his time in Hungary, and I don't think he gets to kick much football there. I think he does a lot of rowing and stuff. So his time is a little off. He started picking up last week. And we got good defensive play on the first play.
From midway through the second quarter until this defense is like a totally different team. They've done an excellent job.
Breaks one there. This is Benji Zamora comes back. Ronnie Penafel was able to jump on the fumble recovery right on the sideline. Benji calls the fumble.
That's the
running
first,
to the football better.
and that's the first fumble that hadn't bounced right back to them. They've had two others that just happened to bounce right back into Abramson's hands. So Grace King starting on the 46 after the turnover.
Well, like I preached to him, you can say, lucky break here, they got their fumble, they didn't, but you make your own breaks. If you're going to hustle to the football, you're going to get your fumbles. You can't go and cry because you don't, they fumble 6 times and you don't get it, but I mean, you got to make those breaks. It's just positive play, and I see a lot of other schools do that.
We're just going to come back and do the exact same thing we did on the other drive until they stop it. We're not going to try to get fancy.